Hello, world. Welcome to Queer in Science, Theology, Philosophy, and Spirituality. This is the LGBTQ Center for Science, Theology, Philosophy, and Spirituality, where we discuss science, theology, philosophy, and spirituality with an LGBTQ perspective. And today we are discussing time and with time is a very important thing. And the reason why I'm talking about time, I've been led to talk about time. It is um, because of the what do you call it? The I was looking for a screen, so don't worry. I've got a nice one. It is because of the weather. Like you see here in Africa, it's very hot right now, and people could be wondering where is rain. It's supposed to be rainy season right now, and it led me to study time. And climate change is just the same as climate change is just what do you call it? Climate change is just time change, because everything in the world, everything in the cosmos, everything in the universe, even the planets, they all exist in this cosm called time. All of them, they exist in this thing called time. Even as we exist in time, even the sun is not timeless. It's existing. There was a time the sun was a baby. Yeah, it was a baby. Now it became big, and now it's staying, and now it's dying. It's a star. Never forget that. And stars die. And that's what you need to know about. Today theology is going through changes because we are reading science. Science is making us change our positions on very many things. Like I was sharing in the other video, that Venus used to be thought of as a star. And that's why when people called Jesus Christ the bright and morning star. Of course, even they called Saturn that. It's understandable because he was son of the morning. And the suns in the Bible, the word sun is a star, because when you read in the Bible about the angels, the Bible is a literature book. It's an artistic book. So in ancient art and in ancient literature, there was what you call, when you write a poem, you have parallelism. It's a technique in what do you call it? In art. So when you write the poem, you write parallels. So when you read the Bible, the verses, especially the ancient and the Old Testament, the verses are divided into two meanings that mean the same. So like when you have a story saying that, like the verse I like a lot, we are gods, and we are gods. The Bible, that verse says, ye are gods, ye are children of the Most High. So that children of the Most High and gods mean the same thing, but it's parallelism. So to repeat yourself, you repeat yourself but with a different term. That's what parallelism is. So the Old Testament is filled with that. And when you read so when you come and read the verse that talks about the angels of God, it says these are the sons of God. The stars that rise, will read the verse today. So why is that very important? It's important because humans did not have NASA those days and ESA. So when they sat down and looked at the stars, the universe, they believed they were stars. That's why the word planets is not in Genesis. It's not in Genesis. It comes in the book of Kings, the first time you see the word planets. Reason being, at that time, when the book of Kings was written, they realized that they were planets. They were not stars. They were planets. And that's when they called them planets. Now, how is this connected to climate change? Climate change is astrological. Yes. Because it involves the sun, which is a star. And the earth revolves around this star called the sun. And changes occurring to the sun affect the earth because the earth revolves around the sun. And that's why climate change is not only efforts by human beings. We are just accelerators. When we destroy the atmosphere, we are just accelerators. But the sun is also the cause of climate change because it's a star. And stars have timeline. They are not forever. In fact, a planet, in my view, should be older than a star, than the sun. But it can't because the sun is the one that started the solar system. Yes. If you are to know how the world began, of course there are very many theories. One theory, according to me, is the sun started the whole solar system. And it could be that stars create planets. So that when the star begins, it now releases other elements that surround it, and they grow very big, and then they become planets. Then other stars are born. You see, it's very interesting. You know, there's a lot to read, and I don't want to discuss that. That's not what I want to discuss. I want to discuss the calendar. And there's a lot of, because how did a star begin? Where did it begin? You see, that's quantum physics. It's very, very complicated, and that's our job. We are here to find out life because we have found out there's a lot in the world for us to understand. Now, when you come to the calendar, as I'm saying, it's very hot here in Africa, and it's supposed to be raining right now. And so when I tried to find out why, I said, let me study the different calendars of the world. And when I studied the different calendars of the world, I was impressed by the Jewish calendar. The Jewish calendar is right now saying we are in a leap year. According to the Jews, it's a leap year. And their leap year is not like our leap year. Their leap year, they add a month. They add 30 extra days to the calendar in a leap year. For the Western world or the global calendar, it's not necessarily Western, it's global. But it's Western because of the origin. For the Western world, the calendar only adds 1 day to the leap year, and it has a cycle of 4 years. After every 4 years, it's a leap year, and in that leap year, they add 1 day. But in the Hebrew calendar, they have a cycle, of course, which is it's a 19-year cycle. And within those 19 years, they have different spaces of time. We'll look at that later on, not today, to count the leap years. So my point and focus today's video is just I'm whetting your appetite for the time we will study the calendars, but it's to look at how there are different types of leap years. So for the Jews, they add a month, but for the Western people, the Western world, they add a day in a period of after every 4 years. Now, when I studied the Jewish calendar and I studied the weather, I realized that because what is the leap year? I mean, it involves the moon, because the moon helps us to know the seasons, especially rain. The moon is the one that's in charge of the rain, because when it goes to whenever the moon is out, the tides in the sea rise, and the wind causes the tides to rise, and the sun, as it's shining, creates clouds from the water. All of these mixtures, all of these actors create rain. And so you find long rains, like what East Africa is waiting for now. We're waiting for long rains. And in the long rains, nature is so much here. So when you see me going off and on, just know it's nature. So the long rains are coming. And when the long rains come, it's because the sun is very near water bodies. Like now, the sun is on the water body called Lake Victoria, because it's on the equator. So it's going to be there for about 3 months, 2 months. It's going to be around that area. Now, when that happens, the water bodies are heated up. And when they're heated up, they create clouds that bring rain. Now, it's a long rain season because the sun is coming from Capricorn. And the short rains happen again when the sun is on the equator. Yes, and when it's going to Capricorn, the country or the area, East Africa, experiences short rains from August to November. So every time, and then below in Capricorn, there are also other water bodies. So when the sun hits them up, it also causes rain. But because, like I'm talking about the equatorial region where we are in East Africa, because the sun, when it's overhead in Capricorn, we go through dry season. Yeah. We go through dry season because the sun is far from us a bit, and we don't have water bodies big enough to reach South Africa when the sun is there. So it's a very complicated system, and you can read it from, but why it sounds complicated is because I'm now mixing a calendar with weather, meteorology. So that's why it sounds very funny. But I know someone who understands, gets what I'm saying. Now, so now we're in a Jewish year. So they add a month. Now, imagine if you add a month to an agricultural calendar. If that calendar that has added a month is right, then it means the rainy season has been extended by 1 month. So it will not rain. It's not going to rain now, but it will rain in April, because we are in a leap year, not Jewish, just we're in a leap year. So what's the importance of what I'm saying? The importance is, which calendar is right? That is the question. Because if the Jewish calendar is right, then it means seasons are delayed by 1 month. Like rainy season, delayed by 1 month. Summer extends by 1 month. So that's what you need to understand. Someone has the right calendar. And who is it? And that's what we are going to be discovering and doing. There is someone. Yes, there is someone. And so far, in all of the calendars, I've given the Jews and Babylonians A. Yes, because it's brilliant. If next year in East Africa it rains in March and not April, as it is postulated or projected to rain this year in April, then the Jewish calendar is beyond perfect. Yes, we are waiting. Next year is coming. If it rains in March, very easily, and remember, next year is the Western leap year. Yes, this year is the Jewish leap year, and I've remembered the gaps. For the Jews, it's 5 years. After every 5 years, it's a leap year. But for the Western people, it's 4 years. After every 4 years, it's a leap year. Now, so it's very interesting. So we are waiting to see the sense in that, and so it means the leap year could delay. It delays seasons. Now, I'm saying this with the benefit of doubt, meaning we are still testing the Jewish calendar, the Chinese calendar, and the Babylonian calendar. But of all calendars, so far, the Babylonians and the Jews have won, because Babylonians also added a month to their calendar. I mean, when it's a leap year. Now, the Westerners, remember, the Western calendar is a solar calendar. Yes, we're going to let's just call this series a calendar series, because it's about time. You know, time is very important, and time is a spirit. If God is time, then time is a spirit. And if time is a spirit, then we are supposed to look for those spirits, because remember, God is not just a spirit. The other John says God has 7 spirits. So he has 7 timelines. He's everywhere. And all of those are spirits. So we are studying spirit. We are studying spirituality. We are studying time. And when you go into time, that's what helps someone to be a prophet, an accurate prophet. An accurate prophet has the spirit of time. He is walking in time. That's what, when Trump won the election, it was a very good measure of who is in time. Yes, you know, prophets are many, and some prophets can say, oh, I want so and so to win. Like for me, that time of the Trump election, I wanted Hillary to win. It was not necessarily a prophecy. It was just a desire. I wanted Hillary to win. And for other people, they were prophets, and they said Hillary Clinton is going to win the election. Then others said Trump is going to win the election. And then it happened. So the people who prophesied Trump winning, they got a tick. They were in time. You know, they understood their time. Or their spirit was in their time. Those who didn't get it right, their spirit was not in the time. But then, now I did the research. I followed all those prophets who said Trump was going to win, irrespective of what happened. You know, even Trump, even if, I know the investigation is over, so it's not, we don't talk about that. But even if he got there, hook or crook, someone has to say who is going to be the president. It's like betting. You're joking with betting. Even betting is spiritual. Yes, there are people who know the right team that's going to win. Those are people who are in time. And they are very hard to find. How many people win the jackpot? Very few. Very few. Reason being, they don't know. Nobody knows the right answer. But I've already told people about AI. AI has finished religion and spirituality. because as long as you're doing outcome-based betting, like all of those things, forget it. You can get all the outcomes and whoever wins. But the catch is, for every bet you must pay money. So even if you get the right bet because of using AI, you'll have lost money. Like, let's say there's a game of 50 games. You have to bet 50 times. Not even 50 times. You have to bet. Oh, it is unbelievable. Look at that. It's too much money. Because you have to bet 50. Oh, I can't even say it. It is beyond mathematics. It's beyond. It's too much. It's not that it's beyond mathematics. You can do the calculation, but the outcomes are so many that you'll have to pay. You have to pay not 50 times, but 50 times 50 times another 50, because you can have like I've told you, 50 games. Then only one game there was a loss. The home team loses. The rest, home team wins. And that's an outcome. Then you have to have, forget it. Let's not even talk about it. What I'm just trying to tell you is that things like betting and predicting, predicting in the stock market, they are the spirit of time. So AI has controlled the finite world. Anything that has limits is finished. We know it. Everything that has limits, we now know it. The only thing we don't have knowledge about, AI cannot know, is time. Yes. AI, it doesn't know time, because time is infinite. When did it begin? And when will it end? So AI has not managed to do that, but we are trying to understand the origin of time and the origin of God. Yes. And this is what atheists do. You know why atheists are atheists? They don't believe, they have not been convinced by religion. Yes. They haven't. And we'll talk about this when we are on another video. Okay, anyway, that's enough of talking there. Let's finish this video by saying that calendars, in my thesis, my statement is, calendars are very important in determining agricultural seasons, because agricultural seasons are calendars, and calendars are time, and there are different types of calendars. I've told you the Western calendar is a solar calendar. The Hebrew calendar is a luni-solar calendar, and the Arab Muslim calendar is a lunar calendar. Now, the problem of the solar calendar, the Western one, it ignores the moon. Yes, it ignores the moon. And because it ignores the moon, it will not understand rain. You see, rain is controlled. It's not only does the sun control rain or make rain, it's the moon. Because the moon has different phases. And when it's a full moon or a new moon, there tends to be a lot of rain. That's why whenever there's rain, it can just check the moon phase. It's a new moon or it's a full moon. That's what happens. Oh, it's beautiful. Thoroughly beautiful. Now, so that's a solar calendar. Its disadvantage, it doesn't use the moon calendar. The moon. Now, apart from the Western calendar being solar, the Egyptian calendar was also solar. Or even if it was lunisolar, it was a lunisolar leaning on the sun. It is from Egypt that we got the 365 days. Egypt was the only civilization that knew it was 365. The rest, especially Israel, which was a neighbor of Egypt, they had 360 days. Very important. Oh, you're going to enjoy this series as this is just warm up and touching, but I've told you my best calendar is the lunisolar one, because the more you combine the moon and the sun together to understand time, the better, because the moon is very important in the weather of the world. Yes, it brings rain. It causes the tides to rise. There's something weird about the moon. It's because it's very close to us. Already Saturn, they have found Saturn has 5 moons. They have just discovered. And those moons affect Saturn. So we are going to study that. But what I've told you, I've left it to you. To me, I was talking about the weather. And I think the Jewish calendar is very close to science, and also the Babylonian one. Of course, the Jewish calendar came from Babylon. It was Babylonized and mixed with Jewish thought. Before they did that, Jews were still lunisolar before they went to Babylon. But when they went to Babylon, they discovered that there's a leap year. What I mean by leap year is when they calculated the months of the year, they noticed there was a problem, because people make calendars and they don't want to make them again. But they didn't understand something, that every time the cosmos is going on, every time the world is going on, there is what you call a declination that happens in the motions of the moon and the earth. The earth is not in the same position all the time, and so is the moon. So when these guys made a calendar, they made a very fixed calendar. Then they realized, the next year has come. Then it doesn't look like the fixed calendar of last year. So the Babylonians asked themselves, what is wrong? And they said, okay, there's something that is happening. They didn't know it was motion, because they had no NASA. So, but they realized that there could be some cosmic changes in the world. So to help those cosmic changes, let us add a month. And that's what they did. They added a month. And when they added a month, they now called it a leap year. So some years, it's beautiful. We're going to do this. I can't wait when we start, when we read it out and we study and tell it to you very well. So that is what I'm saying. I think every culture has its calendar, and very few civilizations give us calendars. And my conclusion and my view is they must be a civilization that got time right, or got it okay. And to me, it's the Babylonians and the Jews. They got time very right, in my view. Or not right, but it's the best explanation of time. And when we go and do the other videos later on in time, we are going to look at the nitty-gritty of it. So that's what I was telling people. Don't ignore astrology. Yes, it's very important. Don't ignore astrotheology. It's very important. Don't ignore cosmology. These things are united. when you understand cosmology, you've understood the world. You've understood power. Yes. That's why people called them gods. They called all the planets were given names. They are gods. Yes. Because for human beings, what is outside the world is beyond our understanding. So we gave them godlike status. I was singing a song just before I came here and I like it so much. It's in South Africa. Sia hamba tina. Sia ezulwini. You know, we are going back home to the heavens. Ezulwini. And that's where the Zulus get their name. The Zulu people. They are from the stars. And that's their religion. That's their cosmology. They believe that we came from the stars and we go back to the stars. So Ezulwini. And I was enjoying that song because I was telling myself that, wow, you know, stars, life is just about astrology. Yeah. And as I told you, the sun is a star. You know what confuses people? They think the sun is not a star. And I insist it's a star. So if it's a star, then everything we study is astrological. Time is astrological. And if time is astrological, God is astrological. Why is it when Jesus was born, a star appeared? It's because astrotheology and astrology control religion. And astrology is science. Because it is these calendars that are helping us to know the seasons. Yes. As I've told you, now that we know seasons, you don't need a rainmaker. Yes, you don't need a rainmaker. And if you find a rainmaker, anyone who performs miracles is a person who is in time. It's mysterious. That person is in time. He's in another level, he's in another world, and he has powered the thing. That's like I told you in betting. Whoever wins a bet, that person was in time when he made the bet. The spirit, all of these spirits, they know the future. Do you know the spirit of time? And therefore the spirit of God knows the future. Yes, it knows it. It knows what's going to happen in the year 10,000. Exactly. Exactly. And that's what you need to understand. Like today that I'm coming to sit here. Time, the spirit, whoever has a spirit of time knew it. But how many people have it? Very few. Very few. They're even countable. It's unbelievable. Sorry, I'm musing. It's a bit philosophical, but anyway, this is an introduction to the series we're going to do about time, calendars. And we were just warming you up and we were telling you our best calendar. We like the Babylonians and the Jews. They were very mathematical, and of course that means the Babylonians were beyond human understanding. I love Babylon for their knowledge. It's unbelievable. It's lovely. So I'm going to make you enjoy what I'm enjoying by opening your eyes to what I'm reading and what I've interpreted from that data. All right, guys, thank you for joining us.